Without a doubt, oil has shaped the modern world, but where did it all begin? Well, the story of oil goes back to ancient times, long before the invention of the combustion engine or the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. You see, our ancestors discovered oil seeping from the earth, a mysterious black liquid that held an almost mystical allure. They found that this strange substance could be used for a variety of purposes, from waterproofing their boats to medicinal uses. But it was the discovery of oil's potential as a fuel source that truly revolutionized human society. The ancients found that oil could be used to create light, to heat their homes, and to cook their food. This was a game changer, folks. Suddenly, the darkness could be banished with a mere flicker of an oil lamp. Fast forward a few millennia to the 19th century. Technology had advanced, and humans had begun to drill into the earth to extract oil directly from the source. This was the birth of the oil industry as we know it today. The world's first oil well was drilled in 1859 in Pennsylvania, USA by Colonel Edwin Drake, an event that marked a pivotal moment in human history. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This was no overnight success. The early oil industry was fraught with challenges. The oil was difficult to extract, and the infrastructure for distributing it was not yet in place. It was a wild and unpredictable business where fortunes could be made or lost in the blink of an eye. Despite these challenges, the potential of oil was undeniable. Its uses were expanding rapidly, from fuel for lamps to a key ingredient in a myriad of industrial processes. The world was on the cusp of an oil boom, and it was clear that whoever could master this volatile industry stood to make an immense fortune. So the oil was there just waiting for someone to tap into its potential. Enter John D. Rockefeller. In the world of oil, one name stands out: John D. Rockefeller. Our tale begins in the mid-19th century, when a young Rockefeller saw potential in the burgeoning oil industry. A savvy businessman, he wasn't the type to let an opportunity slip through his fingers. With a keen eye for profit, he threw himself into the oil game, and boy did he play it well. Rockefeller founded Standard Oil in 1870, a company that would soon become a titan of industry. With a relentless drive for efficiency and a knack for undercutting the competition, Standard Oil quickly began to dominate the American oil landscape. It was like watching a chess grandmaster at work, each move calculated, each strategy meticulously executed. And Rockefeller, he was the kingpin, the puppet master, the orchestrator of it all. He was the man who turned a black, gooey substance seeping from the earth into a golden river of wealth. He built an empire on a resource so powerful, so sought after, it would shape the course of history. Under his leadership, Standard Oil became synonymous with the American oil industry. It was as if the company had the Midas touch. Everything it laid its hands on turned to gold, or in this case, black gold. The company's vast network of refineries, pipelines, and tank cars didn't just shape the industry, it was the industry. But let's not forget that every empire has its dark side. While Rockefeller was busy building his oil dynasty, he was also creating a web of power and influence that would cast a long, deep shadow. A shadow that would touch every corner of the industry, and even reach into the lives of the unsuspecting Osage Nation. Rockefeller's empire was vast and powerful, but it wasn't without its shadows. While Rockefeller's oil empire brought wealth and progress, it also had a darker side. Step into the shadows with me for a moment, will you? Let's talk about the exploitation of workers in the oil industry. Picture this: men laboring for long hours in hazardous conditions. Accidents were as common as the oil they were drilling. And let's not even get started on the pay. Peanuts, really, for the risks they were taking. But the human cost was just one aspect. The environmental damage was another entirely. Oil drilling, especially in the early days, was a messy business. It wasn't unusual for oil to spill into rivers, poisoning water sources and killing wildlife. The land was scarred, the air filled with toxic fumes. And even today, with all our technology and regulations, oil spills still happen. Now imagine being a part of a community that lived in harmony with the land for generations, only to have it torn apart by oil drilling. That's what happened to indigenous communities, like the Osage Nation. Their ancestral lands were rich in oil, a fact that didn't escape the notice of those looking to make a quick buck. They were pushed aside, their rights trampled, and their way of life disrupted. And here's a little twist of irony for you. The Osage Nation became the wealthiest people per capita in the world in the early 20th century, thanks to the oil beneath their land. But wealth brought its own problems, including a chilling series of murders. It's a story that's stranger than fiction, but sadly, all too real. So, while we enjoy the benefits of oil, let's not forget the hidden cost. The exploited workers, the damaged environment, the disrupted communities. It's a sobering reminder that progress often comes at a cost. In the heart of America, the Osage Nation found themselves sitting on a black gold mine. Imagine waking up one day to find that beneath your feet, there's an ocean of oil. That's exactly what happened to the Osage Nation in the early 20th century. This Native American tribe, originally from the Ohio River Valley, was moved multiple times by the U.S. government, finally settling in Oklahoma. As if by a twist of fate, their land was sitting atop one of the largest oil reserves in America. The oil boom that ensued brought unprecedented wealth to the tribe. They became the wealthiest people per capita in the world. It was a rags to riches story like no other, with members of the tribe driving fancy cars, living in mansions, and even hiring white folks as their servants. Ah, how the tables had turned. But as we know, wealth often attracts the unwanted attention of those with less scrupulous intentions. The Osage soon found themselves at the mercy of avaricious outsiders. The oil beneath their feet became a curse as much as a blessing. This period, known as the Reign of Terror, was marked by a series of mysterious deaths among the Osage. Many of these deaths were eventually linked to attempts by outsiders to gain control of the tribe's oil wealth. It was a dark chapter in the tribe's history, revealing the depths of human greed and the lengths some would go to exploit the resources of others. The story of the Osage Nation and its oil wealth is a cautionary tale. It's a stark reminder of the destructive power of greed and the devastating consequences when the balance of power is upset. It's also a testament to the resilience of a people who, despite the odds, continue to thrive and maintain their cultural identity in the face of adversity. The tale of the Osage Nation serves as a stark example of the lengths some would go to for oil. But let's remember, it's not just about oil. It's about justice, respect, and the inherent rights of a people to their land and its resources. Do you believe the exploitation of the Osages was fair game? Leave your thoughts below in the comments. By the early 20th century, Standard Oil's monopoly was under threat. The winds of change were blowing, and they were blowing hard. A movement was rising, an antitrust movement, and it had its sights set on the towering might of Standard Oil. The public had grown weary of the company's unchecked power and influence. They yearned for competition, for choice, and above all, for fairness. With the dawn of the new century came the dawn of a new era in American business. The Sherman Antitrust Act, passed in 1890, was now being wielded with newfound vigor. This act, aimed at promoting economic fairness and competition, was about to take center stage in a dramatic showdown with Standard Oil. The court case against Standard Oil was a spectacle to behold. The government argued that the company was a monopoly, suppressing competition and manipulating prices. On the other side, Standard Oil defended its practices, arguing that they were merely the result of superior business acumen and efficiency. The battle was fierce, but in the end, the court ruled in favor of the government. The gavel fell, and with it, Standard Oil's monopoly. The company was ordered to dissolve into 34 independent companies. Some of these companies would go on to become household names, such as Exxon, Mobil, and Chevron. The breakup of Standard Oil was seismic. It was a triumph for the antitrust movement, a victory for competition, and a stark reminder of the power of government regulation. But this was more than just the end of a business giant. It was the end of an era. Yet as one era ended, another was set to begin. The breakup of Standard Oil did not diminish the importance of oil. If anything, it amplified it. The oil industry was now more diverse, more competitive, and ready to face the challenges of a new century. The breakup of Standard Oil marked the end of an era, but the influence of oil was far from over. Today, the oil industry is a global powerhouse. It's an arena where nations, corporations, and economies jockey for power and influence. The rise of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, in the mid-20th century changed the game. This coalition of 13 oil-rich nations began to flex their muscles, deciding who gets oil, when they get it, and at what price. It's no secret that oil is the lifeblood of our global economy. It keeps our cars running, our homes warm, and our industries churning. It's woven into the fabric of our daily lives, and its influence is felt from the skyscrapers of Manhattan to the deserts of Saudi Arabia. But let's not forget, every coin has two sides. The oil industry is not without its challenges. Climate change, is the elephant in the room that's grown too large to ignore. As the Earth's temperature rises, so too does the public outcry for change. Governments are being pushed to reduce their carbon footprints, and the oil industry is squarely in the crosshairs. Then there's the rise of renewable energy. Wind, solar, and hydroelectric power are no longer the stuff of science fiction. They're here, they're viable, and they're giving oil a run for its money. The industry is at a crossroads, grappling with the reality that the sun might be setting on the age of oil. But here's a twist in the tale. The industry isn't throwing in the towel just yet. It's pivoting, investing in technologies to capture carbon emissions, exploring the potential of biofuels, and even dipping its toes in the renewable energy market. Just as John D. Rockefeller once did, the modern oil industry is evolving, adapting, and fighting to stay relevant. It's a high-stakes game of chess, and the board is constantly changing. The story of oil is still being written, and it's a story that affects us all. So buckle up, folks, because the ride is far from over. The next chapter promises to be as thrilling, as tumultuous, and as unpredictable as ever. From ancient times to the present day, oil has changed the world. Its discovery marked a significant turning point in human history, sparking a revolution of industry and economy. The rise of John D. Rockefeller and Standard Oil brought about a new era of wealth and power, but not without its shadows. Then we have the Osage Nation, a Native American tribe who found themselves amidst unimaginable wealth and a series of tragic events due to their oil-rich lands. Their story is a stark reminder of the human cost, often hidden beneath the glitz and glamour of progress. The breakup of Standard Oil marked the end of an era, but it also paved the way for the modern oil industry we know today. An industry that continues to shape our world in ways we can hardly fathom. So next time you fill up at the pump, remember, you're part of a story that's been unfolding for centuries. If you like this video about the oil history, then make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content like this. Check out one of my other subjects here.